Welcome, brand builders. Today we have a very special guest, Shaina Denny, joining us. Shaina lived in China for over 3 years while working at an early stage tech startup before returning to the United States to get involved in the growing Los Angeles tech scene. She has her master's in international business, is a co-instructor and guest lecturer at Whittier College, and is passionate about international business, lifelong learning, and her mini dachshund puppy, Poppy. So today we are going to learn more about Dogdrop, which is Shaina's, she's a founder of Dogdrop, which is a franchise model for, and I'm going to let you explain more of it, but Shaina, take it away. What prompted you to start Dogdrop, and what is, the business model that you've created behind it?
Yeah, awesome. Excited to be here today. As you mentioned, I lived in China for around 3.5 years. And of course, right when I arrived and moved back to the US, the first thing I did was get my mini dachshund Poppy. I realized immediately I needed support, whether that was someone to watch her or to give her the socialization or exercise needs that she needed to be a healthy pup. As I was working from home, very similarly to how we're all working today. This is even pre-COVID. I was working from home most of the time, going to a co-working space 1 or 2 times per week just to see other humans out in the world. So it's more than capable to physically watch my dog, but I wasn't really giving her the needs that she needed. And I as well needed some uninterrupted Zoom time or some work time. So that's initially what I started looking into solutions. I didn't think it was something I was going to build. I was looking for a quick, simple, reliable place I can just like drop off my dog for an hour or so, so she could play, have her socialization. I could, run some errands, even go to the grocery store, have an important Zoom call, get everything done, and realized there wasn't anything of that sort out there. And then quickly realized I was not alone with that problem.
Yes. Yes. As a dog owner myself, I definitely can echo your thoughts on that, especially when it comes to having some personal time for those Zoom calls. What did you find most interesting about the franchise model, and what prompted you to take that direction?
Yeah, so our goal, even to kind of back up what Dogdrop is, where our goal is to provide the most convenient and high quality daycare anywhere and other dog services. And so in order to reach that goal is we know that we need to, convenience is based on, for us, being close to where people live, work, and play, right? And so the traditional model of daycare is that you'd find a old massive warehouse on the outskirts of town or off the freeway. And so for us, where we actually see people living, working, and playing are not off the side of the freeway for the dog parents that we're marketing towards. So in order to really reach our goal, we know that we need to be everywhere. And so that's why we are really enthralled by and have strong conviction about the franchise model, because it'll allow us to grow and scale faster, especially as we've had such high demand post COVID as well, with all the pandemic pups, that we want to be everywhere as soon as possible. So now that we've created a really strong foundation, we can share our franchise system with other franchise partners as well.
I love that. I love that. And, something you said that I had only heard recently was the pandemic pups. And there's
There's Poppy.
Yeah. The pandemic pups, in terms of like, yes, everyone was at home. They had an influx of like, and I loved it, adopting animals. And obviously the shelters were doing really well at that time too. And so I love that you found, here's an absolute need for it. But like you said, I'm thinking about the models that I see locally as well. And like you said, they're all on the side of the freeway, and they're like these massive, massive units. Whereas, I live in the suburbs. So it's easier for me to like walk down the street and, go into a retail store or, one of these daycare centers than it is driving away. In some cities like New York, that's
Yeah.
not even accessible. So I love, love, love that. Obviously within the franchise model, there comes a lot of, brand consistency. And as you expand and grow, that is something that you really want to make sure is adhered to. The guidelines are growing, and, your brand is growing alongside your franchisees. In that capacity, when it comes to branding, why do you believe that consistency is key? And I guess what are some of the challenges you think franchises face as a new franchise owner in growing their brand?
Yeah, definitely. For us, consistency is strongly aligned with quality, right? And that's a huge issue that we're trying to solve in the dog care space, especially in this fragmented industry in dog services, that there's not a lot of quality. You either have the big box players or you have the small mom and pop shops, and there's not a lot in between. And so for us, building a really strong brand and being a venture backed startup really focused on the tech enablement of we can provide the best experience to our members as well. It comes along with a lot of that branding, so people really, it's kind of part of our values. They understand the quality that we want to provide, our mission, our goal to help people and their dogs. So it's definitely a challenge for all brands, as you mentioned, especially franchise brands. When you're working with more and more stakeholders, the more and more kind of variances and obstacles come up. For us, we're still early in our franchise journey, so excited to see how that comes along. But I think building a really strong foundation for your brand, how to use brand visual assets, how that's also conveying the message you want to share with your potential customers.
Absolutely. One of the things I noticed that I loved about, Dogdrop, but also I see this very commonly, even when I have a friend babysitting my Great Dane, getting photos of your loved one and your pet, like it is such a, just knowing that they are cared for, I think is huge. And so in your space, especially, I think that photos and digital content is even more important. When you are training new staff and franchisees or, people that work inside these daycare centers, what does that conversation look like when it comes to having them create content?
Yeah, that it's really interesting. It's a huge point of topic, right? Because one of our, core things that we try to get across to our members is providing a very transparent daycare experience, right? In any of the services that we offer. Once we have your dog under our care, we want the parent to really know what's being done, that they can have updates at any time, they can have photos, videos. There's so many kind of different content that we can pass, whether it's to share one-on-one to that parent or to share on social media and beyond. For us, it's really interesting because when it comes to, we look at other daycares, like a traditional daycare or a traditional dog walker or boarding facility, and you can go on their Instagrams and you get a feel for their space, right? And you see the concrete, you see the old broken mop bucket in the corner, like all the unsexy things of the dog care industry. I don't think for us, we don't want to hide what's going on, but we also build very beautiful spaces. So for us to provide, and that's why we're really interested into spaces, is to provide it's a controlled environment for dogs, right? Which is very different than if you go to someone's house and you have your dogs sitting at someone's house. There's all these different elements. You can have a 5-year-old who leaves the door open. It's like, you can't blame them, right? You can have the bathroom or something. You didn't think that the 10-pound miniature dachshund could jump that high. You have so many uncontrollable variables. So for us is to build and design very beautiful yet functional and safe spaces that we like to show off as well to our members. So when it comes to even teaching staff like how to take photos, we have things like of guidelines, like even the best angles for the dog to show like, okay, how do you get, and it's hard because dogs they're not static, they're constantly
Oh,
moving,
yeah.
right? So it's not like how to take the best, coffee mug shot at your coffee shop. It's a lot more difficult. But we have all of those. We think about all of that through as well. What angles, what kind of lighting for the dog. So it's portraying a real authentic experience that they're having at Dogdrop.
Awesome. I think of some of those like viral TikToks that that are out there where it's like a video of the dog cam at daycare and like they're doing
Yeah,
something funny, or like the little Bajan is just like so excited to see their friends. Like
it's
so
hilarious.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love watching dog videos or seeing like animal content too?
We're
It's
very lucky to work in this space with the amount of content is too
oh
much
yeah.
that we can't even manage.
Well, I think another interesting thing you said is in the age of social media too, the customer acquisition journey, it used to just be, I'm going to go to the website, check out the website. But now it's like, I'm going to go to all the social media pages, the website, I'm going to ask friends about it. Having that reference point and those reviews and that, just being able to be comfortable with the brand almost before you engage, I think is becoming even more important now as marketers and branding professionals.
Yeah.
Um,
You will just on that point, you'll see most people, they for sure go to our Instagram before they view our stories. And one of the coolest things is when someone comes in and they say, "Oh, is that so and so?" They already know our dogs because of our social media before they've even come in. So it's really cool to show that the kind of community, and we connect them on social as well. Like, oh, this is Poppy, and Poppy's best friend at Dogdrop is Watson, and they meet offline in real life, even outside of Dogdrop. So really building a community for these dog parents.
Love that. That's incredible. I mean, I think that's how social media is supposed to spark some of that change in those communities in any essence. And, again, you gotta, people love their pets. So I feel
Yep.
like that's like the best common denominator sometimes. Um, in regards to the franchise brand management, what other key trends are you seeing, or something that you've kind of, implemented because of something you've seen?
Yeah. So for us as well, because we're still at the early side of that journey, it's more preparing for it, right? So what we've done is test even in our own company owned and operated locations, right? Even beyond you go, because you have different general managers and member care specialists at the front desk, everything. So I think it's about how do we pass through information from corporate that it's delivered in a really digestible way that someone in that environment can execute. Think for us, it's really interesting because, especially in our brand and a lot of franchise brands that are more service based, right? So we're from corporate, we're all sitting in these perfect environments, if you will, quiet. I have my desktop, no one's bothering me. But once then you need people and your retail locations to execute on your plan, they have members or customers coming in their door. They have dogs they're managing. So we really think about that of even, okay, how do they execute everything while the business is operating? And so for us, it's whether that's opening up earlier to ensure that they can have everything prepped, or to study our new information and trainings and stuff. So that's something that we're really interested in, is like how to prepare for the execution, because it's very difficult to do that in operating hours.
Absolutely. In the topic of preparing, what is next for Dog Drop?
Yeah, so we're getting ready to open another company owned and operated location out here in Los Angeles, and preparing to sell our first multi-unit franchise deals in the beginning of 2022.
That is incredible. And remind me again when you started.
We launched Dogdrop January 2020. So we were those lucky folks who didn't know what was coming, along with the rest of the world. But fortunately for us, I mean, our entire concept was that most people don't need dog daycare Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, and that we need a more convenient and accessible option, which is Dogdrop, a new service based for what we call quick stops. So
Yes.
even during the pandemic, as everyone was home, it really was a large proof of concept for us that people were excited about a membership model dog daycare, really focused on taking care of your dogs for a couple hours at a time.
Yeah. And even on your website, I had noticed some of the different pricing options and the opportunities for how long you need care for. And like you said, I mean, if it's 4 or 5 hours versus 8 hours or an overnight, that flexibility is really key.
Yeah.
So, last question, but most importantly, how do people find you?
Yeah, awesome. Well, as mentioned, we have a lot of awesome dog content. You can find us on any social channels, Instagram, Twitter, all of the above, at Dogdrop Co, DOGDROPCO, or you can find us at our website at dogdrop.co.
Love it. Awesome. Well, Shaina, thank you again for joining us. Best of luck and congratulations for everything that you've accomplished, even in just the last 2 years. Excited to see more of these pop up.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.